Welcome back, Insteaders. I'm here to talk to you today about our gardens. We have a bunch of different styles of gardens. We've reused a lot of materials to try to keep our costs down. We have one of the things when Sheila and I first decided to start gardening, I remembered back when my mom used to have a nice big garden in our backyard growing up. It's about a 20 by 40 garden. It was very, very large. And she loved it. She enjoyed getting out there and planting stuff. But I remember one of the things that she hated about it was weeding. And, it was rough on her knees, rough on your body, hunching over and weeding gardens. So remembering that and remembering that I was in my 40s at the time building these gardens, I wanted them up a little bit higher. So I built what I call table gardens. So they are 4x4 posts that give us the table legs, and deck boards that give us the length and the height. So each box is roughly 1 foot deep. It does have landscape fabric underneath it that allows for the water to pass through, but yet not drag the soil through the cracks of the deck boards. Keeping maybe about 10 inches of soil depth is enough to give root to the majority of the plants that we like. We've got a lot of squash in there. We've got some green peppers. We've got beans. We've got snap peas. They all grow very well in a relatively shallow depth. I wouldn't really go for tomatoes in them because tomatoes need a little bit more root depth. So for tomatoes, I have a raised bed garden that is about 4 foot tall. There again, I wanted a lot of depth for soil, but also be able to pick and weed at basically waist height. When you're picking, the tomatoes go much taller than that, so they're kind of at eye level. So it's nice that you can kind of spot tomatoes very easily and very quickly. As they turn, as they blush, you know exactly where they're going to be. They do like to hide kind of in the middle, so you do have to kind of dig a little bit. But seeing them turn and blush, you can kind of pick out where those riper tomatoes are coming in. We also have what are called green stock gardens. These green stalks we purchased, and I'll give you a link as well on Amazon. But these are phenomenal gardens. They grow straight up. Each compartment has you can plant a different plant in each little compartment, and it waters from the top down. So you pour a gallon of water in the top, and it gradually sprinkles into all of the compartments, keeping them watered nicely. We typically, and if you overwater, it will expel out the bottom out of a tube. So very, very nice and convenient, very easy to operate. They're not cheap, but this is where the cheap meets practical. They also, we purchased separately, these little turnstiles, so that allows you to turn your garden on a daily basis. So each side can get the appropriate amount of sun. You never have one side getting too much sun and too little. So one of my favorite aspects of the green stock gardens is being able to grow vertically with a lot of different types of plants. We've got flowers in some. We've got chives. We've even got cherry tomatoes in some that are growing very well because they don't need to be a deep root, but they're doing well. And also, surprisingly, strawberries. Strawberries do very, very well in it because the tail runners can go into another compartment and very easily continue on growing. I've been amazed since we're in the heat of the summer right now. We're in 90-degree days. we're still getting strawberries that are coming, up from our strawberry plants. Where just about every strawberry field is already dried up. So anyway, that's our green stalk gardens. We also have what I've seen before, and we've created again here, is bucket gardens. We have bucket gardens in behind our greenhouse. Our greenhouse is previously was a playhouse that we have converted. It's a little bit, for me, I'm a height excessive, so I bump my head in it all the time. But it's ideal for my wife and the kids to operate in, because it was initially a playhouse. So everything is lower, but we ripped the roof off of it and put a plastic roof on. We do have a automatic vent fan. We also have it set up for an automatic heater in the wintertime if it gets too cold, so to keep it from freezing. So we've got some nice, and a automatic watering system that we purchased off of Amazon. Very, very neat. It waters twice a day through little sprinklers that are basically water misters, but it keeps everything well watered and keeps everything nice and cool, but also gets a lot of sunlight. So our bucket gardens, each bucket has a different plant in it. Tomatoes go fairly well in it, and squash as well. Most of our soil we purchased last year, and something tells me it's not quite right. The soil that we purchased a whole lot of it from different sources, but we're running into a nutrient loss this year. So we're trying to figure out why our plants aren't thriving the way that they did last year. Really, the only plants that are thriving are tomatoes that are in the raised bed garden, and that has about 2 to 3 feet tall of soil on the ground that it's building from. And we also use our next door neighbors have goats, and when they were cleaning out some goat pens, we put some of that goat manure in there to get some nutrients back in those gardens. So that's I think one of the main reasons that our tomatoes are doing as well as they are. Fortunately, we are also getting some bloom rot this year, but I'm hearing that a lot of people are getting their tomatoes are really suffering from bloom rot, which basically is you've got a very hot summer, and then all of a sudden you get a ton of rain, and the bottoms of the tomatoes start to rot. So the whole thing is really no good. So we are getting a lot of that, but I think we're finally past the main bloom rot stage. I think we're finally getting into an area where we're going to start seeing some really serious tomato crops coming in, which we're excited about because we use those to make our own homemade spaghetti sauces, homemade salsa, and we just cut up a lot as diced tomatoes, stewed tomatoes, that kind of thing, and can them. So by canning, you can preserve those, for a lot longer, keep your costs much lower. We did purchase a pressure canner, and that has been a very useful tool for us to keep keep our canning closet full, and as well keeping our costs down. So anyway, that is a tour of our gardens, and what we use our gardens for, and ultimately we would love to start seeing some other crops. We have succeeded very well with sweet potatoes. Last year we had a huge crop of sweet potatoes come in from one of our raised bed gardens that is on the ground. The sweet potatoes and root vegetables like that really need to be in a deeper soil depth. So our sweet potatoes came in very well. We've not tried standard potatoes, even though we love standard potatoes. We love potatoes. We love baked potatoes, that kind of thing, and mashed potatoes. But we haven't tried to grow them yet. From what I understand, they don't grow well in North Carolina soil. I think the heat is just a little bit too much for them to grow nicely. But like I said, the sweet potatoes have been phenomenal. This year is the first year that we've had any serious luck with watermelons. We've got a couple that are growing right now that are fairly good sized watermelons. Hopefully they will stay, and we'll be able to have a nice little watermelon snack out of them. But watermelons and cantaloupes, we've not had any luck with so far. Keeping our fingers crossed for this year that we're going to have some watermelons and cantaloupe, because we all love those in the summertime. Here are another couple of ideas that we've been playing around with. This is a trash can garden, a trash can that holds a key lime tree. We move it in and out of our greenhouse for the winter and keep it out in the summer. This is another idea of mine. I found that there was a squash plant in our front garden that was not getting enough water when it rains, so I buried a bottle, a 2-liter bottle, poked some holes in the bottom of it, and fill it with water, and it self-waters. Here we're adding some blood meal to our gardens to kind of put some fertilizer back into the soil. The soil that we have in these gardens is a little bit weak. I think we put it in there last year, and I think most of the nutrients have come out of the garden, so we're putting some back in with some fertilizer, and next year we're going to add chicken dirt into them to get a little bit more nutrients back in the gardens and get some better looking produce from it. It's real easy to put in, basically just spoonful per plant, and just kind of mix it in and then water down the blood meal. It's actually a pretty quick acting product. By the next time you go to pick, typically the plants already look improved and have a little bit better products out of it. So blood meal really has been a game changer for our gardens and increasing the yield from it. If you'd like to get blood meal for your garden, I will include a link for Amazon in our comments.
I'll start shaking. These beans have been prolific. This is where most of them have come from. I think these are contenders. That's what I want to plant again next year. Oh, look at that one. Pretty.
Yeah. This is what we do our fried green beans and P.F. Chang's.
Yep.
So now we're going to take what we picked and we're going to make a little snack or a side item out of it. So we've got some deep fried green beans and deep fried zucchini. Squash also works really well. Here's the recipe.
So that is our garden tour. Thank you again and look forward to seeing you next time.